Ko waira, ko toi tangata, toi ora te hine ngaro, toi ora te kai, toi ora te tinana, ka puta te iwi, ki te whai au, ki te ao, māra mai he ahara. He ahara, he kokiri kaupapa, he mātauranga tuku iho, he whakapiki, i te iwi, kia tipu kia ora, kia toi tangata e, ko te pae, tawhiti, whoia kia tata, ko te pae tata, whakamaua kia tina, tangata tū, tangata ora, kua tau, hei!
O tātara te marae, poke rāta te marae, ko oku hapu ko te māhurehure rauko ngai tūti auru. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa. I've never ever done an online presentation before, so please bear with me, but I do want to just open up with a bit of a kōrero about our peruperu mahi. I've been talking to Hayley just before everyone came in about the whakatauki, he waiwai taumaha, he kiri māku, thinking about how that sort of applies to some of this mahi and what we've been doing. I hope you can see my screen. Is it all good, Hayley? Ka pai. So I guess I just want to talk to my 6 slides. I have 6 slides and hopefully you can see my mouse so that I can sort of just indicate where I'm at, because I tend to waffle. But if we just have a look here, so we are growing a circular peru-peru economy, and what that means to us is utilising everything we grow with our own hands. These are my partner's hands up here in the top right. He's got some rough as hands, so he's my tino ringa raupa, Tahu Warmington or Waima. And yeah, this has taken us like 6 years to get to where we are right now. So as a visible example, so we are determined. I've got the determined duo. Sometimes we're not really a duo because there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And that's the reality I want to share with you today about how hard it actually has been. And when we talk about he waiwai taumaha, he kiri māku, I can sort of see ourselves drowning a little bit at times, but then getting perked up by some of the great stuff that comes out of some of this mahi as well. So yep, we're growing on 30 acres out at Ngawha, the Ngawha Innovation Park. We leased some whenua there. We started way back in 2020, so I'm going to just sort of talk you through some of that mahi there. I'm going to leave that for you to read. So there's quite a bit on this page. So as you can see, we grow for kai and purupura seed, and then all of our odd products, or the peru that just don't quite cut the grade for kai or purupura, my partner puts them into his many samples of his spirit range, his peru vodka, peru rum, and he's even made some biofuel, and he tries to fix our tractors with that gas that he makes, but we've got heaps of broken tractors at the moment, so that's telling you something as well. I do want to acknowledge our sponsors here on the right, and we've received funding over the past 6 years. That's really helped us do our mahi. But to be honest, sometimes applying for funding is quite tiring as well. But we're very grateful because every little bit has helped us get to where we are right now. So just acknowledging the Tyndall Foundation, Tupu Tonu, J.R. Mackenzie, Foundation North, the Northern Regional Council, and GHA. GHA actually helped us write a bit of a business plan. I'm not really sure if we were on track with our business plan, but it's there in a document. So yeah, hopefully we can see some. You just changed this page. So I'm just going to take you through a bit of a whakapapa journey of the mahi that we've done over the past 6 years. So top left corner up here, we started way back. We bought a building on the main street of Kaikohe, Te Wā. We didn't really know what we bought it for at the time. because we got shut down by COVID, we were trying to sort of implement some of the teachings that Uncle Rao had shared with us when he was teaching us about the maramataka, and we would host wānanga there or market days on certain times of the maramataka, normally around the full moon phase, rākau nui, o turu rākau nui, rākau mātohi, and then we got shut down by COVID. But at the same time, we started a garden. And so in the middle here, you can see our very first garden, the very first wānanga that we had at the top here. You'll see a lot of men. And I was quite lucky at that time because they decided that our very first garden was going to be a man's garden. So I didn't actually have to get in there and get too involved in the mahi. I get way too many growlings anyway, but that was our very first garden. And at that time, Uncle Rao had given us some seed, peruperu seed. We'd bought seed from Mairaten, Bunnings, wherever we could get our seed. And we planted about half an acre that you can see there. And at the time, really, we'd been having wānanga with Uncle Rao up here, Uncle Ririata, about the maramataka Māori, and we wanted to just sort of implement his teachings into our lives so that we wouldn't forget the knowledge that he'd shared with us. So at the time, he wanted to preserve some of the seed, the purapura seed, the peruperu seed, and he was worried about some of the varieties becoming extinct. So I asked my partner, my hearty partner, to build him a garden or create a garden for him. So we did. And that's how we started. In the middle here, you can also see our councillor Moko Tapania at the time. That was just when he first started in council. So he posed in front of our garden. It was a great shot. And you can see that our peru growing behind him. And then a few years later, this is where we took on some land at the Ngawha Innovation Park. And that's about, I think it's close to 200, I want to say 200 hectares of land there at the Ngawha Innovation Park, but don't quote me on that because I could be wrong. But we started leasing about a 2-acre block. Then we expanded and sort of came out towards the roadside, took on a few more acres, and now we're at 30 acres there. And there's some of our seed. 2024, 2025, we featured in a K-Road Chronicles episode. And if you want to watch it, you can find us on YouTube. It was a little bit random. It was a friend of a friend who knew a friend who wanted to film something positive coming further north in Kaikohe. I think they'd gone from K-Road to Whāngarei, and they were filming stories of homelessness and interviewing people, and they wanted to share a bit of a positive story. So they came to us, and it ended up being about the peruperu mahi. So if you want to watch that, it's sort of, it'll give you a bit more of an overview of what we've been up to. This photo here is a plane, a glider plane. So we've had heaps of challenges with some of this mahi. Even a plane landing in our paddock and then claiming it was an emergency landing to avoid the police interviews and everything like that. But yeah, I guess I just put this photo here because it's a great story, but we have had many, many challenges with this mahi, and we've persevered. And one of the reasons we've persevered is because the whenua where we grow right now in Ngawha, it's very close to the papakainga of my great-great-great-grandmother, Krani Te Owai Pōkaiho Clark Rogers. So it feels good to be there, and I guess there's an internal obligation to look after that place. So when we talk about he waiwai taumaha he kiri māku, sort of just reminds me of the challenges, and then I guess overcoming those challenges with reasons or obligations, internal obligations for why we continue doing what we're doing. We've hosted some wāhauhake, brought people in, asked them to pay pretty much so that they can take away a big bucket of peru and hear a bit of our story. This is our dog Peru at the top here. He eats peru, or she, actually that's a she. She's just had some puppies. So she eats peru, and she's a bit of a protector, keeps away the birds and things like that. Featured on Te Karere, some of the mahi that we were doing. And then up here in the top right corner, we introduced a buy-in model where people came, had a bit of a kōrero with us. They selected some seed, they paid for their seed, and they planted with us. They returned a month later, and they'd come and maintain their plants, and then they ended up harvesting. So it involved 5 one-hour sessions, really, where people committed to this mahi, but working alongside us in our gardens. And this was all a part of us growing our circular peruperu economy. Bit of a sad story, disastrous story. The first time we went public with it, because we trialled it over years and it worked. But the first time we went public, they didn't really get a very good harvest. They got hit with these really bad rains. It was so embarrassing, but we're lucky we had heaps of peruperu stashed away in our peru packhouse, so we could distribute from that. But nobody complained. They actually really enjoyed working through the process and learning alongside us, which I'm really happy about. But it was about 81 whānau that signed up for that kaupapa with us. And then we, because of the interest, we took on more whānau, about, I think, another moon cycle out. And they had a great harvest, so that was good. Down in the bottom right, some of the opportunities that have come from this mahi is I actually went to do another master's through the Atlantic Fellowship for Social Equity, Melbourne University. And this was in 2024. And I'm not sharing this to blow my trumpet or anything at this time, but I just want to let you know that the applications for this are open right now. And what that allowed me to do was write about our peruperu, talk about our peruperu around the world, and talk about the mahi. So if you have a kaupapa that's going to benefit your people, I would encourage you to apply. You go over to Melbourne about 5 times, I think, during the year, or maybe 4 times, and then you go to Brisbane, different places. And then we went over to Oxford University, heading back over to Melbourne next month, heading to South Africa at the end of the year. And I just get to talk peruperu, exactly what I'm doing with you right now. So it's a great opportunity. It's the Atlantic Fellowship for Social Equity. Look it up. This is just continuing on through that mahi. I met Linda. She was one of the po of that program, and she came up to visit us. And this is one of those perk me ups, to get over some of that hard mahi, is when someone like Linda acknowledges the mahi that you've been doing and comes to visit. It was so special. So I'd like to think that we're besties now, because she contacts me when she comes up to the north and she wants to continue working with us. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. We've had Dame Cindy Kiro come and visit us at the pack house in the middle there. Here's my partner Tahu, the staunch looking guy. And there's some of our crew. And then down below here, we had Adam Clark and John Kerwin, ex-All Black, visit us at the Peru Pack House. They were randomly visiting. They were looking for some sort of produce to put into like a cosmeceutical sort of product for men. Yeah, so they came to visit us at the pack house. There's Moko again. So we've hosted whānau, like I mentioned before. I've just put up his comments and then shared a few photos of some of the people that have come in with us. And here's Tahu with some of our stash of pura in a cooler room. So later on, you can ask me questions about any of this. And again, I've just shared some posts from people who have come to visit us at the Peru Pack House. Our pack house is actually just a 2-story house. It's over here on the top right. We rent this too at the Ngawha Innovation Park, and we're trying to just transform it into just a cool as working space, doing it up a little bit as we go. But you can see we just had hosted our whānau in our humble little garage there. It was a little bit rough around the edges, but it didn't worry anybody. And then down here, you can see some photos of people collecting seed. Got a post there by Pita Tipene, so they came to visit us at the gardens as well. And then here's some photos of just some people that are coming out with us to plant at the garden. So they'd select their seed, put their seed into a e-carton tray, and then they'd come out. Yeah. And this is us in 2026. So there's been a lot going on. So up here on the top left, we've engaged some students to help pack peruperu into paper bags because I got tired of doing some of that mahi. So as you can imagine, we have peruperu coming out our eyeballs. But what we do here, I guess, and hoping to contribute to this circular peruperu economy, we'd engage the students to come and pack, and then we would sell their bags of peru for them and they would make a profit. So they would keep the profit just for bagging the peru. And so we'd calculate things like, how long would it take you to bag a 1 kg, 1 kg of peru, take them 2 minutes and they'd earn $2.50 or something like that from one packing. So that was great. Here's via Linda again. So she also acknowledged our mahi just this year at the STEAM lecture series over at the University of Melbourne. And with Linda, she just offers snippets of gold all the time. And sometimes when you're feeling a little bit taumaha or taimaha from the mahi, she'll hit me with some goodness and simple things like sometimes she'll just say, you just need a workforce. And I don't normally use the word workforce. And it was like, yeah, we do. We actually do need a workforce. Or in this presentation, she talked about how protecting your kai, growing your kai, collecting your kai is all a part or practice of decolonizing. So I've just highlighted that as well. And you can find that online on YouTube. I think the last conversation we had, she said, yes, kapai, you can grow the kai. You know how to grow the seed or save for seed. Now let's start talking kai security. So those are sort of the snippets that I get from her all the time. And I like to think of them as just words of encouragement to just keep going, because she talks about the importance of our mahi and why it's so important. And she actually articulates it way better than I do. So that's what I really enjoy from having that time with her. She's I'm not sure if people are aware, but she is actually one of the leads for the Kai Institute, Kai Research Institute, and where I'm currently working right now at Te Kotahitanga e Mahi Kaha Trust. She's wanting to come and establish a working relationship with us. So everything has gone from, this humble peru to all these different opportunities and all this mahi. But that is actually my presentation. So if anyone wants to ask some questions, I'll just stop sharing my screen and I'll come back into the wānanga. That was probably really quick. It feels like I just talked non-stop, Hayley. But
E pai ana.
so I'm just not sure if you've got any questions, please ask, or need to check this. Sorry, just closing the door.
If you would like to ask a question, there's a Q&A box, or you can just pop it in the chat, or you can just unmute if you would like. I'll open us up with a question, Mo. So we've been doing a lot of kaupapa around Kai Māori recently with Papa Joe McLeod and obviously with Papa Ririata and so on. What is it about our kai as Māori that is important? I'm thinking about the fact that you can plant diwai that are, maybe a lot bigger, a little bit more productive, and people might tend towards growing those kinds of potatoes instead. And I suppose the question is, what is it about our kai or the kai that has kind of an appearance within our whakapapa and amongst our tupuna? Why is that important for us to continue to carry on for us and for following generations?
I'm not the expert, Hayley, but I guess if I go back to why we started growing peru was really when Uncle Rao was worried about some of the seed becoming extinct, and he just said, look, he wanted to grow. So that's when I asked my partner Tahu to start a garden for him. And so now Uncle Rao returns to us to collect his seed every year. He's not really good at saving his peru seed because I think they tend to eat the kai, or he distributes it out as you do. But yeah, for us it was too about just growing our kai tupuna And my partner Tahu also had a bit of a heart attack way back in 2019. And this has actually been a bit of a healing for him too, getting him out in the garden. But he's been a grower from way back, very green fingers, a lot of experience in growing. And I guess now it's all legal. So at the end of the day, I needed to put his hands to some good legal mahi. And he's the best grower around here, I guess. Well, one of the best growers. But I guess when you start, it's really hard to quit. And when you know that there's goodness that comes from the kai, if you think about the antioxidants and some of the urenika and everything like that, you know that that kai is quality kai. We want to continue feeding that kai to our whānau. And that's the best way to probably put it. And I mean, we've got several varieties, and people have asked us about why we're making alcohol with it. But like I said, it's the odd products that don't quite cut the grade of good kai or good seed. So they might be damaged slightly, or they might be like irregular shapes, or just a bit too small, or we wouldn't really put out big ones, and then we'd sell the big ones, or we'd eat them, you know what I mean? Like, and we only sell sometimes, so we sell some of our peru just to help us with paying kai mahi. We've been a little bit protective. Actually, we've been really protective over the last 6 years, and that's why we've built up the seed bank, and that's why we have heaps of seeds stashed with no real plan at the end of the day of how to distribute it either. So we do have a business plan, but like I said, I don't think we've really stuck to the business plan. I think I just went off track and answered a few other things there.
Ka pai, I'll share some of the questions. How do you store your peruperu? Someone said I've got the riwai at the moment in a dark, dry space, question mark.
Oh, ka pai. Yep. So that's the best place to start. We actually have cooler rooms. So over the 6 years, we've been able to purchase 2 cooler rooms, and then we hire one. So with the cooler rooms, we keep them at a certain temperature, so between 4 to 6 degrees. And what that does is allows the peru to go dormant, and they're like going to sleep really. And they don't sprout as much. But we do, if we open the doors too often, like they will start sprouting, but that's easy. Like when you pull them out, they're like sort of fresh peru if they're kept at the right temperature. So we don't use traditional methods. We're all contemporary around here. Use the cooler rooms.
I'm sure you've got enough challenges managing 30 acres to be storing them traditionally.
But I guess with the storage too, you have to check them. Like we have to still pull them out and turn them over and check for, you'll get the odd rotten one in there, you got to get rid of them. So there's still a bit of mahi. They can't just store in there forever and ever and not be maintained or checked or anything like that. So that's part of the mahi. But we have kept our seed in our cooler rooms for possibly the longest time, maybe over a 2-year cycle, and they'll come out good. Yep.
To eat or for seed?
For seed, yeah, for seed.
Awesome.
So you can store them in the cooler rooms for kai as well, but I mean, our kai doesn't last that long. Like if we're going to eat it, we're going to eat it. And I wouldn't even say that our kai would last a month. Like if we've got peru stored for kai, it would be gone. Like it would be distributed. But we haven't really been able to trial how long we would keep the peru in the cooler rooms for kai. But, I think I've read somewhere that you can store your peru for a good 6, maybe 8 months for kai. Haven't trialed it. I wouldn't know. We haven't actually carried out that research. It never lasts that long.
Yeah. Ka pai. We have a question. What next steps excite you and your whānau most?
Well, at the moment, we're actually in the process of trying to commercialize our spirit range. We're hoping that that product will help to pay for all the other kaupapa and allow us to keep going. We do need to put a bit of a succession plan together because my partner's now 53. And I just keep thinking about the whakataukī, you know, he wai taumaha he kiri māku. And I think about when he comes home in the evenings, like I have helped with some of the hard mahi, but he's my tino ringa raupā. I get to talk about it, I get to write about the mahi, but he does a lot of the hard work. So when I see him at the end of the day coming home, yeah, you sort of, I don't know, I have extra sympathy for him at times, but it's also very hard. That's not the exciting part. I think the exciting part is where we can keep growing and employ some of our people to come and work with us. Eventually, I'd love to be able to employ people full time. At the moment, we can only employ people seasonally to come in and work when we have pūtea. And sometimes we do sell a little bit of produce to be able to pay. But the exciting part would be expanding and being able to employ people to manage some of that work, manage the distribution. We have provided seed and sold seed to whānau in the Hokianga who have expanded their operations a little bit. So seeing that is probably the most rewarding part too. Just seeing where your mahi has led to. Because it's hard. It is hard mahi.
I'm wondering, like, thinking about, because to an extent it's a community effort, right? What if you could, like, if the community could support in some way, what would be the most helpful for you?
The community do support us by attending our wānanga. So we will have random wānanga different times. We might invite people in to come plant with us or to harvest. And we need to host more of those. But I guess purchasing the product when we sell so that we can pay our kaimahi would be a good way. We are expanding some of our operations in Kaikohe. So moving into where I'm working now, we'll be planting some gardens here. But I guess just seeing more people growing their own kai would be great. But also understanding that it's really expensive. So you're either going to be able to plant small, and if you wanted to expand and go bigger, people need to understand the expense. So as an example, if you were to grow an acre of peruperu, you can fit 10,000 to 14,000 seed into an acre. If you look online at the moment, I think a kg of seed is about $12.89 or something like that. And the prices will go up. So they'll go up closer to the prime times for planting, and then they'll drop back down again. So seeds are like $1.50 plus GST. Or sometimes they can go up to $2.50 plus GST. And if you think about the amount of seed that whānau would have to buy to then go and plant an acre, and I'll just work with 10,000 and go $1. So, 10,000 seed in a paddock, an acre, $1 a seed, $10,000 just for the seed. So there are some considerations for people to think about. And it, I guess for us is understanding the numbers too. Sometimes we ignore the numbers, and somehow money or funding will come in and hit us at the right time or at a desperate time, and we're able to move on. But I guess those are some of the risks we're taking as well, being in this way.
Fiona asked, how do we access your mahi or site for purchases?
So I haven't really, I need to up my game when it comes to marketing and sales and things like that. So I haven't really put that out there. We do have a Facebook page, Te Wā Kaikohe, and you could look on there. And I guess it would be just getting my contacts. My name's Moana Timoko, so you can email me moanatimoko@gmail.com. I don't really have a proper plan in place right now, but we'll be putting that out there at some stage. Yeah.
Beautiful. You mentioned earlier some of the challenges I suppose there's like challenges on like a small scale, and then there's like when you're growing 10,000 peruperu seed, there can be like really big scale problems.
Yeah.
Do you want to like touch on a couple of them for people that might be thinking about what this might look like in their own wāhi?
Mm. No. If I think about my partner, he's a grower. All he thinks about is growing, timing, making sure that the whenua is prepped and ready for his planting, and he expects me to keep up. So things in the home or but in our relationship aren't always perfect. Like it's quite hard, and like understanding the demands, I guess. That's probably the biggest challenge. We also have a bit of pest control. We can't afford to maintain our gardens as well as we used to, like when we first started. Like I think if I just share that in the first year we were getting 30 to 50 peru off one plant, but that was when we were able to give those plants that extra tender loving care. Now like we can't put extra goodness into the whenua, but we have been able to replant in the whenua where we are at Ngawha at least 3 seasons now, and that's without rejuvenating. But now we're thinking about how we're going to do that. We can't afford mustard seeds, we can't afford lupin, so we use kinna juice, things like that. So it's, I guess those are the challenges, just working with what we have when we have resources available, and yeah, just dealing with my partner and his working attitude. Pretty hard and hearty, let's just say that.
Awesome. Does anyone else have any questions? I'll just double check this. Oh. What are the similarities and differences between growing 1 or 2 seeds, such as peruperu, and a wider permaculture approach to growing kai?
Okay, talk to me about permaculture. They're terms that I don't use, I don't really understand. But what was the first part of that question again? Just about the seed?
What's the similarities or differences between growing 1 or 2 seeds, such as peruperu? I'm not quite sure what's meant by that, but maybe a small amount compared to many?
Oh, okay. So up here in the north, we still refer to our varieties of riwai as peruperu. I know down the line they use taiwa. So our peruperu are actually, we grow about 8 or 9 varieties. So we have kōwiniwini, urinika, tūtaikuri, the peru anita, waiporoporo, huakaroro, moi moi. Just trying to think of the other ones. I should have wrote my list down. I'll try and think of the rest later. But so we grow different varieties, and we just class them all as peru. So I understand that there's a peru variety as well. I don't actually know what that variety is. I haven't seen it. So those are the peru that we grow. To make it a little bit easier too, we've been planting mixtures of peru. So the peru themselves have been able to hold their whakapapa, I guess. They're quite strong when you dig them up, but we have got varieties growing, and then we will have special plots where we may just have urinika growing. I know that the purple peru that we grow are the best for Tahu spirits, so those are the ones that he'll use in there. Yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
And because I remember talking to Papa Rao maybe after the first year of planting, and he was asking around, we're trying to figure out if we can mix all the varieties together and if they grow well mixed. How did you go with that? Do you just plant them all together? And
sometimes we do. So Tahu actually has a planting machine as well. So we don't have the manpower to be able to sort all of our seed. even though he will still have like a special stash of certain varieties, most of the time they are quite mixed. And when we host wānanga, we get people to just select from the different varieties just to trial it, because they're normally people who haven't grown the peruperu before. So we just say, look, go out there and give it a go. And then when you harvest, it's like this, you get this mixture of different colours and everything like that. So some of them, yeah, there are varieties growing off the different plants.
Mm. Papai. I think the question is species.
Oh, I can sort of, I'm just reading that from Richie.
Mm. Papai.
Right.
Do we have any further question? How is climate change impacting your kai production? And have you found any ways to limit the impact?
With us, a lot of it is just trial and error. I mean, we observe the weather, we observe the taiao, we have to check on the mauri of everything, the mauri of the whenua, the mauri of the wai, the mauri of the people that come into our space. You know, like if you think about it like that, we're always checking that mahi tiro is important, making our own observations of everything. But you may have heard me mention that we've actually been able to plant in the soil where we are at Ngawha over 3 cycles now, and we've still got really good product coming out. But we're just at a point now where we're probably going to rejuvenate sections of the whenua. Sometimes we just leave our peruperu in there. So when we talk about climate change and when it's going to rain or piss down with, we don't, you know, we can't get in there at the ideal optimum times. We'll leave things, but our peruperu are pretty resilient. So like if I give you an example, if you came to our gardens now, they don't look as flourishing and green as those photographs. Like it looks like weeds, but those weeds are protecting the peruperu under the ground. And sometimes my partner's either just gone over the top with a weed eater it across and then dug them up, and they're still there. So sometimes we just go with when we can get into the garden, or sometimes we do. I mean, a lot of the time we're trying to follow our maramataka, so we'll plant and harvest on a tangaro moon phase or something like that. Those are the main times for us, but at the end of the day, sometimes you have to just get in there. Yeah. Not so much me though. My partner.
Kapai. Wondering about the cooking of different varieties. Are there specific varieties that fit with specific preparations?
Yep. So all of that information is actually available on Google, and you'd only, I guess, it would be best for you to try and see what you like. So I will eat all of the varieties of peruperu. Sometimes I can tell the difference. Sometimes I find the urenika a little bit floury, and it does depend on how you cook them. So I would normally cook my peru and bring them to the boil, tip the water out, bring them to the boil again, and then turn it off. Like, you know, there's different ways to cook them. So, you know, either not overcooking them or so they don't come out too flowery. Some of them are naturally different, obviously, but sometimes I can't tell the difference either, because if you eat them with butter and salt and pepper, they all just taste delicious. Yeah.
I can attest to that.
Yeah. But there are different varieties. I mean, there's ideal varieties for roasting, boiling. Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think it goes with how you like it, what sort of texture you like, what sort of taste you like, and how much salt and pepper and butter you put on your kai. Yeah.
We'll come back to that previous question, because I think kua marama ki te ngaku o ngā kōrero. So around the permaculture thing, so I think what they're asking is, would you consider growing the peru alongside other plants so that ecologically it's a little bit more diverse and maybe more resistant or more nutrient cycling and so on and so forth?
Okay, so we actually do grow other kai. So, and I guess the companion planting, if you have a look at that, it would be corn, we have kamo, we have pumpkins, but our main kai is the peruperu, and we've just stuck with the peruperu. My partner likes the idea of growing from a seed rather than growing from a tupu. And that's just, I think it's just a personal preference. And if we were looking, I guess, back in 2020 when we started, there weren't many people growing peruperu here, but there are more people growing peruperu up here now. And some people have always been growing peruperu, but not on that, probably not on that scale. I think is that what you're asking me?
Yeah. I suppose that scale presents like a different set of limitations in terms of how, I mean, you said that he uses a machine planter. So like even that, trying to incorporate different species might be tricky and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kapai, we've got about 15 minutes left. Are you aware of he pātai tēnei? Are you aware with the different varieties if there are any rongoa properties?
So what I am aware of is that the anything purple contains a lot of antioxidants, and there are some video clips that I've been watching recently on like Facebook that randomly pop up, and they talk about the healing properties for cancer patients. But you know, I've not looked into that research myself. I guess the best, if we talk about rongoa, it might not necessarily be the kai itself, but I think being involved in reconnecting or connecting to the whenua and the mahi has been a rongoa in itself, and especially for my partner. Even though he still gives me a headache when he moans and groans about the hard mahi, and I mean he does do a lot of hard mahi, but just acknowledging that too. But I think for him, it keeps him fit. It keeps his mind sharp. He's always working to his own maramataka, and if I'm not on time with things, oh boy, I'll hear about it. So yeah, I think there's the healing in that, just the day-to-day healing of being able to work your hands in the whenua. Yeah, it's probably just as important as the kai that you would put into your body, or if you would produce any other goods. What I can say about the peruperu vodka is that, and maybe this is just a personal thing, but it does clean you out. Had a bit of peruperu vodka with some pineapple juice on ice, and it cleans you out. It could be a good thing.
With the side of peruperu and butter?
Oh yeah, with the kai as well, of course. Yeah, hot chips, hot peruperu chips. Yep.
Awesome. Maybe we'll wrap up with one more question. I'm wondering for people around the motu where peruperu is able to be grown, but also considering that for some people gardening might not be in their capacity at the moment. What are 3 ways that people can help in the continuity of this kai?
Access some seed. You normally find it, if you don't know where to get seed from, you can find it at like Bunnings or Mitre 10. They might be a bit expensive, but access some seed, dig a hole and plant it. If there's a little sprout on it, it's telling you something wants to go on the ground, wants to be growing. We have plots. Actually way back before Tau got busy with the 30 acres, we used to have plots of peruperu growing everywhere, and we would assign them to different kaupapa. So for example, we would have a plot for an unveiling, we would have a plot for my nanny's birthday, we would have a Christmas plot, and sometimes they would just randomly be popping up everywhere. So yeah, wherever you can dig a hole and plant a seed and give it a go. Yeah.
Awesome. We've got one last question. Based on your learnings today, if you had to start again, would you change anything?
Oh, that's a hard one. Maybe to have a bit more of a plan for going big, because my partner didn't really, well, he had a plan in his head and it was just to keep going and keep going and keep growing and keep growing. So maybe think about not just the expense of it, but like the gear you need, the maintenance, Mahi, the workforce that you'd actually need. We work with people who like the Mahi at the start, but then sometimes they can't really maintain that, I guess what is it? Oh, I can't even think of the right word at the moment. I better not go there. Yeah, they'll last for a season maybe, and then the Mahi just becomes too hard, and it is strenuous Mahi. So I'd think about the equipment maybe that would help you. So we've built up our assets over time. But yeah, it's probably just have a bit more of a plan, especially when you want to expand and go a bit bigger and think about everything else. Yeah, I don't think it'd change very much. Sometimes, you sort of reflect back on where you were when you started, and where we are now in the stash, and seeing the stash. Sometimes working in the whenua just wakes you up to the reality. Keep going, just keep going. Yeah.
I can imagine the responsibility, not just of like the physical act of growing, but the cultural obligation, I suppose, and the obligation also that you've inherited from your relationship with Papa Rao and all the mātauranga that he's given. To like continue the mahi despite all the challenges. And I think like certainly like for me and my generation, I think we're a little bit scared to make that cultural obligation to, you know, something so much bigger than us. How do you kind of navigate that?
This would be my best advice. Moia te tangata ringa raupā. I'm lucky. I have a partner who just loves that hard mahi. So he just, but and I get, like I said, I get to talk, I get to write about it, and sometimes I get in there and do the mahi. But we can't actually be in the same place for too long, so it doesn't always work out very well. And like I said, I get too many growlings. I'm not doing things right. But sometimes I sneakily try and just grow peruperu myself in my own way as well. Prove I can actually do the mahi. My own way. But there is an obligation. It's an internal obligation to just keep going, to set an example. When we first started growing peru, my kids would sort of be like, "Oh, what are you doing growing potatoes?" and moaning. But now they're starting to ask questions. They want to be a little bit more involved. They're trying to tell us how to do things. And I think for us in our whānau is just growing that appreciation for the mahi, the appreciation for the kai, and thinking about the goodness that comes from that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Tēnā koe moana, me ngā kōrero ātāhua nei. Thank you so much for your presentation and all your knowledge, and me mihi ka tika ki a tahu, who's Bobby in the garden or...
Oh, that's where it is. Every day. Yara, e hoa.
O tī rā koutou, kua hui mai nei, me ngā pātai kua horahia. Thanks everybody for joining us. I put a whole bunch of links in the chat to some of the work that Moana's mentioned, as well as Moana's email if you want to have a conversation with her. She's going on holiday tomorrow, so hit her up in a couple weeks when she's back. Hoi anō, e tuka nei ngā mihi ki a koe Moana. Thank you so much for not only your work, but for coming today and sharing with us, and answering all the pātai. And I can't wait to taste your peru when they come up this summer. Really looking forward to it. And I hope those watching also get to try them as well.
Ka pai.
Nō reira.